Marcus Wellington walked out of the fancy hotel feeling tired and empty inside. The charity gala had been long and boring. Rich people talking about helping the poor while eating expensive food. He loosened his black tie and walked toward his silver BMW in the parking lot. The night air was cool against his face. Marcus was 22 years old and had everything money could buy. But tonight, like many other nights, he felt alone. His father was always working. His mother had died when he was young. His sister was away at school most of the time. As he got closer to his car, Marcus saw something strange. There was a person sleeping in the back seat. His heart started beating fast. He looked around for security guards but saw none. Marcus moved closer to the car window. Inside was a young woman with dark hair. She was curled up like a child, using her jacket as a blanket. Her clothes were dirty and torn. But even sleeping, she looked peaceful. Marcus stood there for a moment, not knowing what to do. He could call the police. He could wake her up and tell her to leave. That is what most people would do. But something stopped him. The girl opened her eyes suddenly. They were dark brown and very bright. She sat up quickly, looking scared. "I'm sorry," she said through the car window. "I'll leave right now. Please don't call the police." Her voice was clear and educated. This surprised Marcus. He expected someone different. "Wait," Marcus said. He unlocked the car door. "How did you get in?" The girl got out of the car slowly. She was about 19 years old and very thin, too thin. Her face was dirty, but her eyes were intelligent. "The door was unlocked," she said, looking down at her feet. "I was so tired. I just needed a safe place to sleep for a few hours. I wasn't going to steal anything, I promise." Marcus studied her face. She was telling the truth. He could see it in her eyes. "What's your name?" he asked. "Elena," she said quietly. "Elena Martinez. I'm Marcus. And this is my car." Elena's face turned red. "I'm so sorry, Marcus. I thought it was empty. I'll go now." She started walking away, but Marcus called after her. "Wait, when did you last eat?" Elena stopped walking but didn't turn around. "Yesterday morning," she said. Marcus felt something twist in his stomach. "Yesterday morning? That was over 24 hours ago?" "Come back," he said. Elena turned around slowly. "Why?" "Because you look hungry and tired and I want to help." "I don't need your pity," Elena said, lifting her chin up. "It's not pity," Marcus said. "It's just human kindness." Elena looked at him for a long moment. Marcus could see her thinking, trying to decide if she could trust him. "There's a diner down the street," Marcus said. "They make good burgers." "When did you last have a real meal?" Elena's stomach made a loud noise. Both of them heard it. She put her hand over her stomach, embarrassed. "Okay," she said quietly. They walked to the diner together. It was a small, bright place with red booths and checkered floors. Not the kind of place Marcus usually went to. The waitress looked at Elena's dirty clothes but said nothing. Marcus ordered 2 burgers, fries, and milkshakes. Elena's eyes got wide when the food came. She ate slowly at first, then faster, like she was afraid the food would disappear. "Slow down," Marcus said gently. "No one will take it away." Elena looked up at him. "Sorry, I'm not used to that's much food." "How long have you been homeless?" Marcus asked. Elena finished chewing before she answered. 6 months. Since I turned 18 and had to leave the foster home. Foster home? I've been in the system since I was 8. My parents died in a car accident. I moved from house to house until I was 18, then I was on my own. Marcus felt sad hearing this. He had grown up with everything. Elena had grown up with nothing. "Where do you sleep?" he asked. "Different places, sometimes the library, sometimes the park, sometimes empty buildings. Tonight was the first time I slept in a car." "What about school?" Elena's face brightened a little. "I'm in community college, pre-med. I have a 4.0 GPA. Marcus was shocked. "You're studying to be a doctor?" "Yes, I work part-time jobs to pay for classes, cleaning offices at night, washing dishes at restaurants, whatever I can find." "Where do you study? The library mostly?" Sometimes coffee shops when I have a few dollars. Marcus watched Elena eat. She was smart and determined. She was working hard to make a better life for herself. This was not what he expected from someone sleeping. In his car, why medicine? He asked. Elena smiled for the first time. When I was little and got sick, the doctors at the free clinic were so kind to me. They made me feel safe. I want to do that for other people, especially kids who don't have families. Marcus felt something warm in his chest. This girl had nothing, but she wanted to help others. That's a beautiful dream, he said. It's not just a dream, I'm going to make it happen. The confidence in her voice surprised Marcus. Elena was not asking for pity or making excuses. She had a plan and she was working. Toward it, they sat in silence for a while. Elena finished her food and looked much better. Some color had returned to her face. Thank you, she said. This was the best meal I've had in weeks. Marcus looked out the window. It was getting late. Soon the diner would close. Where will you? Go tonight? He asked. Elena shrugged. I'll find somewhere. I always do. Marcus thought about his big house with many empty rooms. He thought about his warm bed and full refrigerator. He thought about Elena sleeping outside in the cold. I have an idea, he said. Elena looked at him carefully. What kind of idea? My house has guest rooms. You could stay there tonight, take a shower, sleep in a real bed just for one night. Elena shook her head quickly. I can't do that. Why not? Because I don't know you. Because your family won't want me there. Because people like you don't help people like me. People like me, rich people. People who have everything, they don't usually care about homeless girls. Marcus felt hurt by her words, but he understood why she felt that way. I'm not like other rich people, he said. At least I don't want to be. Elena studied his face again. Marcus could see her thinking. Just one night? She asked. Just one night. You can leave in the morning if you want. Elena was quiet for a long time. Finally, she nodded. Double quotes. Okay. One night. As they walked back to Marcus's car, Elena asked, Why? Are you helping me? Marcus thought about this question. He wasn't sure of the answer himself. Maybe because you remind me that there are still good people in the world, he said. People who work hard and don't give up, even when life is difficult. Elena smiled again. This time, the smile reached her eyes. Neither of them knew that this one night would change both of their lives forever. Marcus drove through the tall iron gates of the Wellington estate. Elena sat quietly in the passenger seat, looking out the window with wide eyes. The long driveway was lined with perfect trees and bright flowers. Soft lights showed the way to the house. This is where you live? Elena asked in a whisper. Yes, Marcus said. He was starting to feel nervous. What would his family think? What would the staff say? The house came into view. It was huge and white with tall columns and many windows. Elena had never seen anything like it except in movies. It looks like a palace, she said. Marcus parked the car near the front door. Elena didn't move. She just stared at the house. I can't go in there, she said. Why not? Look at me, Marcus. Look at my clothes. I'm dirty. I smell bad. I don't belong in a place like this. Marcus turned to face her. Everyone belongs somewhere safe and warm. Tonight, you belong here. Elena touched her hair nervously. What if someone sees me? Then they see you. You have nothing to be ashamed of. Marcus got out of the car and walked around to Elena's door. He opened it and held out his hand. Trust me, he said. Elena took his hand and got out of the car. Her legs felt shaky. She had never been so nervous in her life. The front door was huge and made of dark wood. Marcus used his key to open it. They stepped inside together. Elena stopped, breathing for a moment. The entrance hall was bigger than any apartment she had ever lived in. The floor was made of white marble. A huge chandelier hung from the ceiling, casting light everywhere. There were paintings on the walls that looked very expensive. Welcome home, Marcus said softly. Just then, a woman appeared from another room. She was about 50 years old, with gray hair pulled back neatly. She wore a dark blue dress and had kind eyes. This was Mrs. Chun. The head housekeeper. Mrs. Chun stopped when she saw Elena. Her eyes took in the dirty clothes and thin face. But she didn't look angry or disgusted. She looked concerned. Master Marcus, she said, you're home early. Mrs. Chun, this is Elena. She be staying with us tonight. Mrs. Chun looked at Elena more carefully. She had worked for rich families for many years. She knew the difference between someone who was dangerous and someone who was just in trouble. Hello, Elena, Mrs. Chun said kindly. Are you hungry? I can prepare something for you. We already ate, Marcus said quickly. But Elena could use a hot shower and some clean clothes. Mrs. Chun nodded. Of course, come with me, dear. As they walked through the house, Elena felt like she was in a dream. Every room was perfect. The living room had white sofas and fresh flowers. The dining room had a table that could seat 20 people. There were stairs that curved up to the second floor like something from a fairy tale. This isn't real, Elena whispered to herself. They walked up the stairs to the second floor. The hallway was long with many doors. Mrs. Chun opened one of them. This is a guest room, she said. You can stay here tonight. Elena looked inside. The room was bigger than any place she had ever slept. There was a king-size bed with white sheets and fluffy pillows. There were windows with long curtains. There was even a small sitting area with comfortable chairs. The bathroom is through that door, Mrs. Chun said, pointing. There are towels and soap and everything you need. I'll bring you some clean clothes. Elena stood in the doorway, afraid to go inside. The room was too beautiful, too perfect. Go ahead, Marcus said gently. It's okay. Elena took a small step inside. The carpet was soft under her feet. She had never felt anything so soft. Mrs. Chun left to get clothes. Marcus sat down in one of the chairs. How long have you lived here? Elena asked. My whole life. My father built this house when I was young. It must be nice to always feel safe. Marcus thought about this. He had always felt safe from danger. But he didn't always feel safe from loneliness. Yes, he said. But big houses can feel empty sometimes. Mrs. Chun came back with an armful of clothes. These belong to Master Marcus's sister Rebecca. You look about the same size. There are pajamas, jeans, sweaters, and underclothes. Elena touched the clothes carefully. They were soft and clean and smelled like flowers. I can't wear these, she said. They're too nice. Nonsense, Mrs. Chun said. Clothes are meant to be worn. Rebecca has more than she needs. Where is Rebecca? Elena asked. Away at boarding school, Marcus said. She comes home for holidays in summer. Elena wondered what it would be like to have so many clothes that you could give them away to strangers. Go take your shower, Mrs. Chun said kindly. Take as long as you want. The hot water won't run out. Elena went into the bathroom and closed the door. She looked around in amazement. The bathroom was bigger than some places she had slept. There was a huge bathtub and a separate shower with glass doors. Everything was white marble and gold. Elena turned on the shower. Hot water came out immediately. She put her hand under the water and almost cried. It had been weeks since she had a hot shower. She took off her dirty clothes and stepped under the water. It felt like heaven. The soap smelled like roses. The shampoo made her hair feel soft and clean. Elena stood under the water for a long time, feeling human again. When she got out, she dried herself with the softest towel she had ever felt. She put on the clean clothes Mrs. Chun had brought. The jeans fit perfectly. The sweater was warm and comfortable. Elena looked at herself in the big mirror. She looked different, cleaner, healthier, more like a normal teenager. She opened the bathroom door. Marcus was still sitting in the chair, waiting for her. Better? He asked. Much better. Thank you. Marcus smiled. You look completely different. I feel different too. Elena sat down on the edge of the bed. It was so soft she almost sank into it. Marcus, why are you doing this for me, really? Marcus was quiet for a moment. Do you want the honest answer? Yes. Because I've never met anyone like you. You have nothing, but you're still fighting to make your dreams come true. Most people would give up, but not you. Lots of people work hard. But not like you. You're studying to be a doctor while living on the streets. You keep your grades perfect, even though you don't know where your next meal is coming from. That takes real strength. Elena felt tears in her eyes. No one had ever said anything like that to her before. I don't feel strong, she said. I feel scared most of the time. Being scared and doing it anyway is what makes you brave. They talked. For another hour? Elena told Marcus more about her life in foster care, how she had learned to take care of herself, how she saved every penny for college, how she studied by streetlights when she had nowhere else to go. Marcus told Elena about his life too, how lonely it was to have everything but feel empty inside, how he wished he could do something meaningful with his life instead of just going to parties and spending money. Maybe we can help each other, Elena said. What do you mean? You want to do something meaningful. I need help reaching my goals. Maybe there's a way to do both. Marcus liked this idea. He had never thought about using his money and connections to really help someone before. A clock somewhere in the house chimed midnight. I should let you sleep, Marcus said, standing up. Marcus? Yes? Thank you. This is the kindest thing anyone has ever done for me. Marcus felt warm inside. Sleep well, Elena. Tomorrow we can figure out what comes next. After Marcus left, Elena lay down on the soft bed. The sheets smelled clean and fresh. The pillow was perfect under her head. For the first time in months, Elena felt completely safe. She closed her eyes and fell into the deepest sleep she had had in a very long time. Down the hall, Marcus lay in his own bed, thinking. He had never brought anyone home before who wasn't from his social circle. He wondered what his father would say when he came home from his business trip. Marcus had always been a little afraid of his father. Richard Wellington was a powerful man who didn't show much emotion. But tomorrow, Marcus would have to explain why there was a homeless girl sleeping in their guest room. He hoped his father would understand. But deep down, Marcus knew his father would probably be angry. Marcus fell asleep, wondering if he had made a terrible mistake. Elena woke up slowly, feeling confused. The bed was too soft. The room was too quiet. Then she remembered where she was. She sat up and looked around the beautiful guest room. Sunlight was coming through the big windows. She could hear birds singing outside. For a moment, she felt peaceful. Then she remembered that this was only for one night. Elena got up and made the bed carefully. She folded the borrowed pajamas and put them on the chair. She didn't want to leave any mess for Mrs. Chun to clean up. She looked at herself in the mirror. The clean clothes made her look normal, like a regular college student. She almost didn't recognize herself. Elena went downstairs carefully. The house was so big that she got lost twice. Finally, she found the kitchen. It was huge with white cabinets and a large island in the middle. Mrs. Chun was there, cooking something that smelled wonderful. Good morning, dear, Mrs. Chun said with a smile. Did you sleep well? Very well, thank you. It was the best sleep I've had in months. I'm making breakfast. What would you like? Eggs? Pancakes? French toast? Elena's stomach growled. She had forgotten what it felt like to wake up and know there would be food. I don't want to be any trouble, Elena said. No trouble at all. I love cooking for young people. You're too thin. You need a good breakfast. Marcus came into the kitchen wearing jeans and a sweater. He looked different too. More relaxed than he had at the fancy party. Morning, he said to Elena. How did you sleep? Like a baby. That bed is incredible. Mrs. Chun put plates of food in front of them, scrambled eggs, bacon, toast, and fresh fruit. Elena ate slowly, trying not to look too hungry. Mrs. Chun makes the best breakfast in the world, Marcus said. I can tell, Elena said. This is delicious. They ate in comfortable silence. Elena kept looking around the kitchen. Everything was perfect and clean. The refrigerator was huge and probably full of food. Marcus, Elena said, I should probably go soon. I have a class this afternoon. Where? Community college. It's about an hour away by bus. Marcus looked at his watch. What time is your class? 2:00. I can drive you. Elena shook her head. You've done enough already. I can take the bus. I want to drive you. Besides, I'd like to see your school. Elena felt touched by his kindness, but she also felt guilty. She wasn't used to people helping her. Okay, she said. But after that, I'll be on my own again. Marcus was about to answer when they heard the front door open. Heavy footsteps walked across the marble floor. Mrs. Chun looked worried. Master Richard is home early, she whispered. Elena felt scared. Who is Master Richard? My father, Marcus said quietly. He wasn't supposed to come back until tonight. The footsteps got closer. Elena wanted to run and hide, but there was nowhere to go. A man walked into the kitchen. He was tall and wore an expensive suit. His hair was gray and his eyes were cold blue. This was Richard Wellington, Marcus's father. Richard stopped when he saw Elena. His eyes took in her face. Her clothes, her nervous expression. Elena felt like he was looking right through her. Marcus, Richard said in a deep voice, who is this? The kitchen became very quiet. Mrs. Chun kept cooking, but Elena could tell she was listening. Marcus stood up straighter. This is Elena Martinez, Marcus said. She's staying with us. Richard's eyes never left Elena's face. Is that so? And why is Miss Martinez staying with us? Elena felt like she couldn't breathe. This man was scary. She could feel power coming from him like heat from a fire. She needed a place to stay, Marcus said. Just for one night, I see. Richard sat down at the kitchen island across from Elena. Miss Martinez, tell me about yourself. Elena's hands were shaking. She put them in her lap so Richard couldn't see. I'm a college student, she said quietly. I'm studying pre-med. Where do you live? Elena looked at Marcus. He nodded, encouraging her to tell the truth. I don't have a permanent address right now, Elena said. You're homeless. It wasn't a question. Richard said it like a fact. Elena felt ashamed. Yes, sir. How long? 6 months. Richard was quiet for a moment. Elena could feel him studying her. What happened to your parents? They died when I was 8. Car accident. Foster care? Yes, sir, until I turned 18. Richard asked more questions. About her grades, about her goals, about how she survived on the streets. Elena answered honestly, even though she was scared. Marcus watched his father carefully. Richard's face showed no emotion. Marcus couldn't tell what he was thinking. Why do you want to be a doctor? Richard asked. For the first time, Elena's voice got stronger. Because I want to help people, especially kids who don't have families. I know what it's like to be alone and scared, Richard nodded slowly. That's a good reason. Elena was surprised. She had expected him to be angry. Marcus, Richard said, may I speak with you privately? Marcus looked worried. Of course. They went into Richard's study. Elena sat alone in the kitchen with Mrs. Chun. Don't worry, dear, Mrs. Chun said softly. Master Richard is not as scary as he seems. But Elena was very worried. She was sure that Richard would tell Marcus to get rid of her immediately. In the study, Richard closed the door and looked at his son. What were you thinking? Richard asked. I was thinking that she needed help, Marcus said. You brought a stranger into our home. She's not dangerous, Dad. She's just a girl who's had bad luck. Richard walked to the window and looked out at the garden. Do you know anything about her background, her family, her history? I know enough. She's smart and hardworking, and she's trying to make a better life. That's not what I asked. Marcus felt frustrated. Why does it matter? She needed help and I helped her. Richard turned around. It matters because we have a reputation to protect. We have security to think about. We have money to worry about. Marcus finished. Is that what you're afraid of? That she steals something? Richard was quiet for a long moment. No, he said finally. That's not what I'm afraid of. Then what? Richard didn't answer. He sat down at his desk and opened a drawer. He took out a small locked box that Marcus had never seen before. Dad? Richard looked at the box but didn't open it. Tell me more about this girl. Marcus told his father everything. About finding Elena in his car. About their conversation at the diner. About her dreams of becoming a doctor. She's different, Dad. She's not asking for money or trying to use me. She just wants a chance to make something of herself. Richard listened without interrupting. When Marcus finished, Richard was quiet for a long time. What do you want me to do? Richard asked finally. I want you to let her stay, at least until she can find somewhere safe to live. And if she can't find somewhere safe? Marcus hadn't thought about this. Then maybe we can help her with that too. Richard looked at his son. Marcus had never asked for anything like this before. He had never brought home anyone who needed help. This is important to you, Richard said. Yes, it is. Richard stood up. Then let's go back to the kitchen. They walked back to the kitchen together. Elena was still sitting at the island, looking nervous. Mrs. Chun was cleaning dishes. Richard sat down across from Elena again. This time his expression was softer. Miss Martinez, he said, Marcus has told me about your situation. Elena nodded, afraid to speak. I want you to know that you are welcome to stay here while you figure out your next steps. Elena couldn't believe what she was hearing. Sir, you heard me correctly. You may stay here as long as you need to. Marcus looked shocked. This was not the reaction he had expected from his father. But I can't pay rent, Elena said. I can't pay for food, or that's not necessary, Richard said. Consider it an investment in your future. Elena felt tears in her eyes. Why would you do this for me? Richard was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was gentle. Because everyone deserves a chance to succeed. And because I believe you'll make good use of this opportunity. Elena started crying. She couldn't help it. After months of sleeping outside and being hungry and feeling hopeless, this kindness was overwhelming. Thank you, she whispered. I promise I won't let you down. Richard reached across the table and patted her hand. I know you won't. Mrs. Chun smiled and continued washing dishes. Marcus stared at his father like he was seeing him for the first time. Mrs. Chun, Richard said, please prepare the blue guest room for Miss Martinez and call the school. I want to set up a meeting with Elena's professors. Yes, sir, Mrs. Chun said happily. Elena wiped her eyes. I don't understand. Why are you being so kind to me? Richard looked at her for a long moment. Because sometimes we meet people who remind us of what's important in life. Elena didn't understand what he meant, but she was too grateful to ask more questions. Now, Richard said, I believe you have a class this afternoon. Marcus will drive you. And from now on, you won't have to worry about how to get to school. Elena nodded, still crying a little. She felt like she was in a dream. As Richard left the kitchen, Marcus followed him. Dad, Marcus said, I don't understand. Why did you change your mind? Richard stopped and looked at his son. Because that girl reminds me of someone I used to know. Who? Someone who had nothing but refused to give up. Someone who believed that hard work and determination could overcome any obstacle. Marcus was confused. Who was it? Richard smiled sadly. Myself. Before Marcus could ask more questions, Richard walked away, leaving Marcus to wonder what secrets his father was hiding. 3 weeks had passed since Elena moved into the Wellington house. Every day felt like a miracle to her. She had her own room, warm meals, and no fear of where she would sleep at night. Richard had kept his promise. He arranged for Elena to have a tutor to help her catch up on missed classes. He bought her textbooks and supplies. He even got her a laptop computer for her studies, but Elena noticed something strange. Every few days, she would find Richard watching her from across the room. Not in a scary way, but like he was thinking about something important. When she caught him looking, he would smile and turn away. Marcus noticed it too. His father had always been cold and distant. But with Elena, he was different, warmer, more caring. It's like he's a different person, Marcus told Elena one evening. They were sitting in the garden talking about their day. Maybe he's just being kind, Elena said. You don't understand. My father is never kind to strangers. He doesn't trust anyone. But with you, it's like he's known you forever. Elena had wondered about this too. Maybe he just likes helping people. Marcus shook his head. My father built his fortune by being tough and cold. He doesn't let emotions get in the way of business. But something about you has changed him. At night, Richard sat in his study looking at the small locked box he had taken from his desk weeks ago. He held it in his hands but still couldn't bring himself to open it. There was a soft knock on his door. Come in, he said, putting the box away quickly. Elena stepped into the room. She was wearing one of Rebecca's sweaters and holding a cup of tea. I'm sorry to bother you, she said. I wanted to thank you again for everything you've done, Richard smiled. You don't need to thank me every day, Elena, but I do. You saved my life. Richard looked at her carefully. Tell me about your parents. What do you remember about them? Elena sat down in the chair across from Richard's desk. Not much. I was only 8 when they died. I remember my mom singing to me, and my dad reading me stories. What were their names? Maria and Carlos Martinez. They worked in a restaurant. They didn't have much money, but they were happy, Richard nodded. And after they died, I went to live with my aunt for a while. But she got sick and couldn't take care of me anymore. That's when I went into foster care. What was foster care like? Elena's face became sad. Some families were nice. Some weren't. I moved around a lot. It was hard to make friends or feel like I belonged anywhere. Richard felt pain in his chest hearing this. Did you ever feel like giving up? Many times. But I remembered what my parents taught me. They always said that education was the key to a better life. So I studied hard and tried to be strong. That's very wise. Elena looked around the study. The walls were covered with books and awards. There were pictures of Richard with important people. Can I ask you something? Elena said. Of course. Why? Did you decide to help me, really? Richard was quiet for a long moment. Because I saw something in you that reminded me of someone I used to know. Who? Richard picked up the locked box again. This time he opened it. Inside were old photographs, letters and documents. Elena could see that they were very old and yellowed. This is going to sound strange, Richard said, but I haven't always been rich. Elena looked confused. What do you mean? Richard took out one of the photographs. It showed a teenage boy in torn clothes sitting on a park bench. The boy looked hungry and tired. That's me, Richard said. When I was 17 years old? Elena looked at the photo more closely. The boy did look like Richard, but much younger and thinner. I don't understand, Elena said. Richard took out more photos. My father lost everything when I was 16. His business failed. We lost our house. He started drinking and gambling. My mother left us. Elena felt shocked. You were poor? More than poor. I was homeless, just like you. Richard showed Elena another photo. This one showed him sleeping in a doorway, using newspapers as blankets. I lived on the streets for 2 years. I slept in parks and empty buildings. I ate from garbage cans. I wore the same clothes for weeks. Elena couldn't believe what she was hearing. But how did you become so successful? Richard smiled sadly. The same way you're trying to become successful. I refused to give up. I got a job washing dishes at a restaurant. I saved every penny. I went to night school. He showed Elena a letter. It was an acceptance letter to college. I worked 3 jobs to pay for school. I studied by streetlights when I couldn't afford electricity. I wore clothes from charity shops. Elena looked at all the photos and documents. Richard's story was almost exactly like hers. People laughed at me, Richard continued. They said, a homeless boy could never amount to anything. But I proved them wrong. How? Richard took out a business plan written on old paper. I started a small company while I was in college. I sold medical supplies to hospitals. I worked 18 hours a day. I reinvested every dollar I made. Elena was amazed. And it grew into your big company? It took 20 years. But yes, I built Wellington Pharmaceuticals from nothing. Richard put the documents back in the box. I've never told anyone this story, not even Marcus. Why not? Because I was ashamed. I wanted people to think I was born into wealth. I wanted to forget where I came from. Elena felt tears in her eyes. You were never ashamed. You were brave. Richard looked at her with surprise. What do you mean? You survived? You fought for your dreams. You became successful despite everything. That's not shameful. That's incredible. For the first time in years, Richard felt proud of his past instead of ashamed of it. When I saw you that first morning, Richard said, sitting in my kitchen, scared but determined, I saw myself 30 years ago. Is that why you helped me? Partly. But also because I knew you had the same fire inside you that I had. The same refusal to give up. Elena reached across the desk and took Richard's hand. Thank you for trusting me with your story. Richard squeezed her hand. Thank you for reminding me who I really am. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Elena asked, Does Marcus know any of this? No, I've never had the courage to tell him. I was afraid he would think less of me. I think he would be proud of you, just like I am, Richard smiled. Maybe it's time I told him. What made you change your mind? Richard looked at Elena with genuine warmth. You did, watching you work. So hard, seeing your determination, remembering my own struggles. It made me realize that my past is not something to hide from. It's something to be proud of. Elena felt honored that she had helped Richard in some small way. There's something else, Richard said. He took out a document from the box. I've been thinking about this for weeks. Elena looked at the paper. It was a scholarship application. I want to start a scholarship fund for students from foster care, Richard said. Students like you who have nothing but refuse to give up? Elena's eyes filled with tears. That's beautiful. I want you to be the first recipient. Full tuition, room and board, everything you need to become a doctor. Elena started crying. I can't accept that. It's too much. It's not too much. It's exactly what you deserve. Elena hugged Richard tightly. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for believing in me, Richard hugged her back. Thank you for reminding me that where you come from doesn't matter. What matters is where you're going. As they pulled apart, Elena wiped her eyes. Can I ask you one more question? Anything. Are you going to tell Marcus about your past? Richard nodded. Yes, tonight, it's time my son knew the truth about his father. Elena smiled. I think he'll be proud of you. Richard hoped she was right. He had spent so many years hiding his past that he had forgotten how to be honest about it, but Elena had shown him that there was no shame in struggling. There was only shame in giving up. And Richard Wellington had never been the kind of man to give up. That night, Richard would tell Marcus everything. And for the first time in decades, he would feel proud of the journey that had brought him to where he was today. Elena had given him more than a chance to help someone. She had given him the courage to face his own past and be proud of it, and that was a gift more valuable than all the money in the world. 6 months had passed since Elena first slept in Marcus's car. Now she was sitting in the library at the university, surrounded by medical textbooks. She had straight A's in all her classes and was preparing for her final exams. The Wellington family had become her real family. Richard treated her like a daughter. Marcus had become her best friend and something more. Mrs. Chun cooked her favorite meals and worried about her like a grandmother would. Elena still couldn't believe how much her life had changed. She lived in a beautiful home, had plenty of food, and could focus completely on her studies. But the best part was feeling loved and accepted. The scholarship fund Richard had created was now helping 50 students from foster care across the country. Elena had helped him interview candidates and plan the program. She felt proud to be part of something that would help so many young people. Marcus knocked on the library door. Are you ready for dinner? He asked. Elena looked up from her books. Almost, just finishing this chapter. Marcus sat down next to her. You've been studying for 10 hours straight. Even future doctors need to eat, Elena smiled. Okay, I'll come now. They walked back to the main house together. Elena still felt amazed every time she saw the beautiful gardens and perfect rooms. But now it felt like home instead of a museum. In the dining room, Richard was already seated at the table. He looked up when they came in. How are the studies going? He asked Elena. Good, I think I'm ready for finals. I'm sure you are. You're the hardest working student I've ever seen. Mrs. Chun brought in dinner. It was Elena's favorite chicken with rice and vegetables. Elena had gained weight over the past months and looked healthy and happy. I have some news, Richard said during dinner. The medical school acceptances came today. Elena's heart started beating fast. She had applied to 5 medical schools. All of them were expensive and competitive. And? Marcus asked. Richard smiled. Elena got accepted to all 5 schools, including Harvard. Elena dropped her fork. Harvard? Are you serious? Completely serious. They were very impressed with your grades and your personal story. Elena started crying happy tears. I can't believe it. Harvard Medical School? Marcus jumped up and hugged her. I'm so proud of you. The scholarship will cover everything, Richard said. Tuition, room and board, books, everything you need. Elena hugged Richard tightly. Thank you. I couldn't have done this without you. You did it yourself. I just gave you the opportunity. Later that evening, Elena and Marcus walked in the garden. The flowers were blooming and the air was warm. Elena felt peaceful and happy. I have something to tell you, Marcus said. He sounded nervous. What is it? Marcus stopped walking and turned to face her. These past 6 months have been the best of my life. Elena smiled. Mine too. Before I met you, I felt empty inside. Like I was wasting my life. But you showed me what it means to have purpose. Elena took his hand. You showed me what it means to be loved. Marcus got down on one knee. Elena gasped. Elena Martinez, Marcus said. Will you marry me? He pulled out a ring. It was simple and beautiful, not too big or flashy. Elena started crying again. Yes, she said. Yes, of course. Marcus put the ring on her finger and stood up to kiss her. Elena had never been so happy in her life. I love you, Marcus said. I love you too. They held each other in the garden where Elena had once been afraid to walk. Now it was the place where she got engaged to the love of her life. 2 years later, Elena was in her second year of medical school. She was doing well in all her classes and had found her specialty, pediatrics. She wanted to help sick children, especially those from difficult backgrounds. Marcus had also found his purpose. He was working with his father to expand the scholarship program. They had helped hundreds of students get college educations. Richard was proud of both of them. He had told Marcus the truth about his past, and Marcus had been amazed and proud of his father's journey from homeless teenager to successful businessman. You're a hero, Dad, Marcus had said. You survived and succeeded, and now you're helping others do the same. The family had also grown. Rebecca had come home from boarding school and immediately loved Elena like a sister. She helped with the scholarship program and was studying to become a teacher. Mrs. Chun had become like a grandmother to Elena. She taught her how to cook traditional Chinese dishes and always made sure she was eating enough. On graduation day from medical school, Elena stood on the stage in her cap and gown. She looked out at the audience and saw her chosen family cheering for her. Richard was clapping with tears in his eyes. Marcus was taking pictures and beaming with pride. Rebecca was jumping up and down with excitement. Mrs. Chun was crying happy. Tears. Elena thought back to that cold night when she had slept in Marcus's car. She had been hungry, scared, and alone. She never could have imagined that 6 years later, she would be Dr. Elena Martinez, graduating from Harvard Medical School. After the ceremony, Richard gave a speech at the celebration dinner. Elena, he said, you came into our lives as a stranger, sleeping in a car, but you became the daughter I never had. You reminded me where I came from and helped me remember what's important in life. He paused, looking emotional. You didn't just change your own life, you changed all of our lives. You made us better people. Elena stood up and hugged Richard. You saved my life, she whispered. All of you did. No, Richard said. We saved each other. 3 months later, Elena and Marcus got married in the garden where he had proposed. It was a small ceremony with only family and close friends. Elena wore a simple white dress and carried flowers from the garden. She looked beautiful and radiant. As they said their vows, Elena thought about how far she had come. From a scared, hungry girl to a confident doctor about to start her residency. From someone with no family to someone surrounded by love. I promise to love you always, Marcus said, and to never forget how blessed I am to have you in my life. I promise to love you always, Elena said, and to never take for granted the miracle of finding you. Richard walked Elena down the aisle, since she had no father to do it. As he handed her to Marcus, he whispered, I'm so proud of you. After the wedding, Elena started her residency at the Children's Hospital. She worked with kids who were sick and scared, many of them from poor families. Elena remembered being 8 years old in the hospital after her parents died. She remembered how kind the doctors had been to her. Now she could be that kind doctor for other children. "Dr. Martinez," a nurse said one day, "there's a little girl in room 302 who won't talk to anyone. She's been in foster care and she's very scared." Elena went to room 302. Inside was a 7-year-old girl with dark hair and frightened eyes. "Hi," Elena said softly. "I'm Dr. Martinez. What's your name?" The little girl didn't answer. Elena sat down in the chair next to the bed. "I know you're scared. Hospitals can be scary places." The little girl looked at Elena, but still didn't speak. "Can I tell you a secret?" Elena said. "When I was your age, I was in a hospital too, and I was very scared." The little girl's eyes showed interest. "I didn't have parents either. I lived with different families, just like you do. But I met some very kind people who helped me. And now I'm a doctor, helping kids like you," the little girl finally spoke. "Really? And you know what? You're going to be okay. I'm going to take very good care of you." The little girl smiled for the first time since she had been in the hospital. As Elena worked with the child, she thought about the circle of kindness. Richard had helped her when she was homeless. Now she was helping children who were scared and alone. That evening, Elena went home to Marcus and their apartment near the hospital. It was small but cozy, filled with medical textbooks and wedding photos. "How was your day?" Marcus asked. "Good. I helped a little girl who reminded me of myself." Marcus hugged her. "That's what you were meant to do." Elena felt grateful for her life every single day. She had a loving husband, a career she was passionate about, and a family who cared about her. But most of all, she had learned that kindness could change everything. One act of kindness from a stranger had saved her life and led to a future she never could have imagined. Years later, when Elena was a successful pediatric doctor, she would tell her own children about the night she met their father, about how sleeping in a car had led to finding a family, and she would teach them that it didn't matter where you came from or what mistakes you made. What mattered was how you treated other people and what you did with the chances you were given. Elena Martinez had started with nothing and built a life full of love, purpose, and meaning. And it all began with a young man who chose to show kindness to a stranger. Sometimes the most important moments in our lives happen when we least expect them. And sometimes the best families are the ones we choose for ourselves. Elena had found both a family and a purpose, and she spent the rest of her life helping others do the same. The scared, hungry girl who once slept in a car had become a woman who changed the world, one kind act at a time.